Second sources of income are incredibly important for all executives to consider at all levels. If you are reliant on a single employer, a single source of income, all the eggs in that one basket, whilst that might seem okay and maybe in the past it was an adequate strategy, today you need to be much more prepared for a whole heap of curveballs that could come your way. The contract, if you like, between employer and employee for me changed during the GFC. We saw large numbers of people become redundant very, very quickly. Many people out on the hustings trying to get back into meaningful employment and really struggling. And if they'd had a second source or a third source of income, they would have been able to get through. And I think going forward, you have to think along these lines. Now, people get a bit daunted by this, but you've got to kind of think about where that second source of income could come from. Some of the options might be you could go and serve on a board of directors and generate income that way. You could be a part-time coach or mentor, a part-time facilitator. You might have some intellectual property that could be commercialized, and you could even have a side business, a side hustle, an e-commerce business, for example. I have practiced what I've preached over many, many years, and it's been the key to my survival. Certainly during GFC, I was caught off guard. I had all my eggs in one recruitment business. And of course, when that had difficult times, it caused major difficult times for myself in terms of income levels. And so on the back of that whole cycle, I recalibrated and I built up several different income streams. So, today I make money out of executive search, executive recruitment, out of coaching, mentoring, out of HR services such as facilitation and certain tools that I use. I make money out of resume writing. I have some side business interests and so on. So I've created a portfolio where I have multiple streams of income, and different streams can be turned up in a crisis. Other streams can be turned down if I don't want to allocate time and thought to it. I have some businesses that just generate money with very little effort and input. And so effectively it sort of is making money while you sleep. And I would like to continue to build on that so that, eventually you become completely self-sufficient and you don't have those stresses and the pressures. Your ideal scenario is when you can look at your career portfolio and you can say, well, if this contract came to an end, there would be no difference to our income levels in the next 12 months. That is an ideal scenario. So your first step, in my opinion, is to look at your current salary, and you might be earning $150,000 working for ABC Corporation. And so that is your primary source of income. Now your job is to work out how you could develop second and third sources of income that would replace that 150K. And so you would start to look at, well, we could have a little e-commerce business on the side. I could do some mentoring or coaching on a Saturday morning. In the evenings, I could be writing my ebook or my e-learning course. So you've got to allocate your time. You've got to sort of think about what you'd like to do. You've got to think about where you could commercialize your experience. But in my opinion, most people that I speak to have this incredible intellectual property up top. They have a whole raft of skills and talents and competencies that could be commercialized. And there are a number of ways that you can move towards having these multiple sources of income. It is not a pipe dream. It's not a fantasy. I have literally worked with, over 5,000 executives now who I have transitioned to this multiple sources of income. And it gives me such satisfaction because I know that in a crisis, There is no crisis if you have additional ways of making a living, keeping the lights on. And that's how we've got to think going forward. This is the new world. This is the way things are going to be operating for a period of time. So you're going to have to think along these lines.